Learning to muscle test can open up a gateway to being able to offer powerful healing to others. But many people struggle with learning it, and in particular with having the confidence to trust the answers they get from it. We're going to be looking at some ways we might overcome this lack of confidence and start to access our true potential as healers. To begin with, many people use a method called the sway test, which is said to be the easiest and surest muscle testing method. Longer term, it's not the most practical, as it takes more time than the other methods and requires you to be standing, but it's a great way to get your first experience of muscle testing. It's the method I learnt first. Muscle testing was never something I thought I could do, but when I read Dr. Bradley Nelson's book, The Emotion Code, it made the whole process simple and easy enough for me to try out and learn. His Discover Healing YouTube channel also includes a playlist of short and simple videos to introduce the sway test and various other muscle testing methods. The sway test is easy to use and tends to give pretty clear results, and it's more than good enough for us to get started working on ourselves and our families. But many people are stopped from getting to this first stage by doubts they have about their ability to muscle test or about the results they're getting from it. Doubt is one of the most undermining things that can happen to our muscle testing. There's not much that can confuse and complicate the answers we get from muscle testing more than doubt. But if we're in doubt about something, just being told to stop doubting and have faith isn't going to take us very far. So here are some suggestions on dealing with our doubts. It's so easy to think that when we move forward or backwards on the sway test, or when our fingers hold together or come apart using other methods, we're just imagining it, or somehow influencing the answer without realizing. Or to lose heart when we get things wrong. For example, we might be testing something ridiculous, like that there are two of me in the room, something we know to be completely false, but getting a positive answer with our muscle testing. This most often happens because more of our attention and anxiety is on our muscle testing rather than on the question we're asking. It's important to remember that it's not the words we're using that count, but the underlying intention and focus of the mind. If I muscle test the statement, "My name is Guy," but while I'm doing it, most of my attention is on whether the muscle testing is working or whether I can get the right answers from it, then what I'm actually likely to be testing is the statement, "I'm able to muscle test," because that's what's at the forefront of my mind. And that's likely to come out as a no, not because I can't muscle test, but because I believe I can't. So take some deep breaths. Remind yourself that muscle testing might take a while to get right and to feel comfortable with, and that whether you can muscle test or not is no reflection on you or your inherent worth. Have some patience and be kind to yourself. Once you get yourself to a neutral condition, muscle testing should come much quicker and easier. And if it doesn't, that's okay, it's not going to make you anxious, as you haven't lost anything. It will just take a little more time and practice. Even better, stop testing things that you already know the answers to. This might be useful at the beginning, but as you develop, it's likely to be encouraging you to evaluate yourself and your muscle testing. Instead, move straight to using it to do some basic healing. Again, the emotion code is ideal for this, as it's such a simple and easy system to go through. As we explain in another video on muscle testing, it doesn't work to satisfy our intellectual curiosity. It's a tool, not to access secret knowledge for our own interest, but for the healing of others and of ourselves. By switching to actually healing instead of just practicing muscle testing, you'll also be encouraging a move from your head, which tends to overcomplicate things, to your heart, which cuts through the noise and makes things simple. So start to use it practically for healing, without worrying about whether the answers are right or not, and see if you can get some small results to start with. If you or someone you know is in pain from, say, an injury, that's an ideal thing to work on. as pain tends to respond most quickly and noticeably to healing. In my experience, in at least 2/3 of cases, you'll see an appreciable reduction in the level of pain in a single session, depending on your level of confidence. If you work on a few people and there aren't any results, or if they're very small, don't worry about that. Our healing becomes more powerful over time and may take some time to start to take effect. Depends on our level of confidence, and each person is different. The key thing is to stay calm and remind yourself that not having quick results is quite normal. Muscle testing takes patience and a balanced state of mind. Worrying about things that are not problematic is probably the biggest impediment to achieving success in muscle testing. Once we're reasonably confident with the sway test, we'll probably want to move on to learning some other methods of muscle testing with our fingers. But this is tricky because it's a big jump to switch to using the fingers, which we're far less confident in, when we've still got the sway test available. The way I made the transition was to start muscle testing with the fingers and then test those results against asking the same question with the sway test. At first, I was right about half the time, about the same as pure chance. But with patience and practice and not giving up, I was able to bring them closer together. But I was forced to find a better solution to finish the job. When I first launched Heartful Healing and had my first clients booked in, I realized 2 days before the first session that I could only reliably work with the sway test, which wasn't suitable for a session because it's slow and clumsy and you need to be standing up. And so in panic, I did a big session on myself using the sway test to improve my muscle testing ability using my fingers. The following morning, I was sat on a train and able to do remote sessions on 5 people without standing up. The key thing is to avoid doubt or self-recrimination. Don't let patterns of low self-confidence come into play with this. You may have thoughts come up that you can't do this, but there's no reason you can't, and there's no need for urgency or to put pressure on yourself to do it quickly. We've made several other videos that go into more depth about this, which you can find either on our YouTube channel or in the article section of our website, heartfulhealing.co.uk. If you still need help, then take a session or a few sessions if necessary from a certified body code practitioner, ideally one who's also trained in the belief code to help you cut through the issue and get access to the healing power that you know is within you.
Jack has always been a very nervous cat, but Jack had a very, very unfortunate meeting with the cat next door. He had 11 puncture wounds in his body. That was the final straw because he stopped eating, and I could see that he was losing weight. I knew that I needed to do something and fast, otherwise we would lose him. After the session, I thought, right, well, let's just wait and see. And he started eating, and that was the one thing we were wanting. I don't know how you do it, but whatever you did that day, it was quite extraordinary.